now for our 2016 Presidential Power Index, where we look every week at who's up and who's down in the race for the White House. Well, this week, there's a huge shakeup in the Republican contest. Chris Stirewalt is Fox News digital politics editor and the author of Fox News First, and he joins me now as he does every Monday. Okay, let's get right to it. Ted Cruz up 1, knocking Jeb Bush out of your top spot. Bush falling to number 2, Carly Fiorina up 1 to number 3, Marco Rubio up 1 to number 4. Why the shift, Mr. Stirewalt?
So look, Jeb Bush has been number 1 in this index since the day it started. It has been Jeb Bush all the way along for a very simple reason, which is the Republican establishment usually gets its way. In the end, the guy with the most money and the core support of elected officials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, outlasts his challengers and wins it. That's what's happened the last 2 cycles. It's what usually does happen. And Jeb Bush has been in that position, even though, as many people who have emailed and tweeted and said, well, this guy's in 5th place. He's not winning. Why is Jeb Bush? Well, we care about things other than just how are you in the polls today. We care about how do you look for the long haul. And here's how Jeb Bush looks for the long haul right now. He looks like a guy that might be able to pull off winning that establishment wing of the party and locking that in. But Marco Rubio is a real and genuine threat to his chances to lock down that part of the party. And what that means is that Edward Rafael Cruz, senator from Texas, that guy has a better shot if he does, in fact, make it to the finals against Jeb Bush to win the Republican Party's nomination.
Wow. Okay, so a lot of thought went into this and analysis. Now, let's look at your second screen. For the next tier of people, Donald Trump falling from the top 3 now. He's down 2 to number 5 in the index. Ben Carson holding steady at 6. John Kasich up 2 to number 7. Chris Christie up 2 to number 8. Now, I know folks are going to look at that, too, and they're going to say, how did Chris come up with that? And you would say what?
So here's what one of the most important things that you can watch right now for the political junkie at home. Pay very close attention to candidates' favorability ratings. One of the reasons that Jeb Bush is down, one of the reasons that Donald Trump is down, is that they are not well enough liked by their party. They have loyal followers among core groups. In Trump's case, that's 20 in the Wall Street Journal poll that was out today. That's 21% of Republicans say that he's their guy. But unfortunately, when we look at unfortunately for Trump, when you look at the numbers underneath, there are a lot of people for whom it's not their guy.
Yeah, let's throw that up on the list while you're talking about it, because this came out of the Fox polls, net favorability, which is what you're talking about, adding the positives to the negatives. Ben Carson is at the top of that at 52%, a big leap. Then you have Rubio at 35, Fiorina 30, and Jeb Bush at 1%, which is exactly what you're talking about.
He has the worst score. He doesn't do very well in the general election. He doesn't do as well. He does poorly in a general electorate. He doesn't do very well with the Republican primary electorate. Even Trump does better. Trump, I believe, has a net positive of 12 points or something like that.
Yes.
But neither of those guys are anywhere in the neighborhood of Ben Carson, who is adored by his party, by Carly Fiorina, Marco Rubio, very popular with their parties. And it's starting to pay off in fundraising and paying dividends on fundraising and other things like that.
Right.
So for Donald Trump, he is the pick of more than anybody else, but he's not well liked enough.
Yeah, interesting thing is he doesn't need the fundraising, so that could factor into it. Let's look at the Dems for net favorability. Here you have President Barack Obama beating any other contender who wants to be president after him, 73%. Biden, 65%. He's not even in the race yet. Mrs. Clinton, 48%, and Bernie Sanders, 38%. What do you say to that?
Her numbers stink, and they have gotten stinkier as time has gone by. Her favorability numbers, even among Democrats, are down. With the general electorate, they're as bad almost as Jeb Bush's. She is in a real crisis. And as you point out, the Obama brand, and as it extends to the vice president, is very popular in the Democratic Party. Democrats don't resent the president. They like the president. Democrats think that he's doing a good job, and his brand is something that Hillary Clinton needs to worry about as it relates to Joe Biden.
All right, so you say Joe Biden. Now, this is really, really interesting what we learned today. CNN leaving the door open for Joe Biden in the first Democratic presidential debate, saying he could take part even if he waits until the last minute to enter the race, like, Chris, the day of the debate itself. What is that all about?
Well, it's about that there's not very much interesting about that debate, right? Right now, you would expect the Democrats don't have much sizzle, right, in their skillet these days. You've got Hillary Clinton, you've got self-described socialist senator from Vermont, Bernard Sanders, and then a lot of undercard. And that doesn't drive a very interesting discussion. Now, if Joe Biden were to make his announcement in time for this debate, it would be a moonshot. It would be a huge area of discussion. People would tune in to hear what they had to say. But so far, it looks like it's not going, again, the skillet will be sizzle-free.
Okay, so you don't think he's going to do it? You don't think he would actually make the announcement on that day?
He might. I mean, the great thing about Joe Biden, and one of the reasons that every reporter wants him to get in the race, is that he is unpredictable and he is interesting to cover. Could he do that? Yes. Is he more likely, I think, to wait until November to see where the actual bottom for Hillary Clinton is? How far does she actually fall before she starts to get going again? Does he wait a little longer? I think so. But with Uncle Joe, you never know.
You never know. Very true. Chris Stirewalt, thanks much. See you next week.